Welcome, everybody. We're certainly glad you could join us. On behalf of the City of Arvada and the Arvada Economic Development Association Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you to our annual Business Appreciation Breakfast. My name is Paul Heller, and I've had the pleasure, privilege, and honor to serve as the president of the Arvada Economic Development Organization, and it's a real privilege to be able to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. This is our 21st annual event. We love to do this to recognize the businesses in our community and thank them. And as is our custom, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'd all rise, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it was one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Every year we do this, we put a theme together. We try to put a theme and organize a theme that represents Arvada, but includes our community, includes our businesses. And this year's theme is Shaping the Future. There is a lot of things happening in Arvada right now that really are going to enhance the quality of life for those who live here for many years. And a little bit later, you'll hear from Arvada Police Chief Don Wick about that, some of the things that are aligned right with that, about partnership between the police and our business community and how that is shaping the future for Arvada. But before we get there, I'd like to introduce some people in the audience this morning. I'd like to begin with our elected officials. Representing Congressman Perlmutter's office, we have Jerry Pfeiffer here. If you'd please stand as I call your name. Sorry. Yep. Arvada Mayor Mark Williams. I believe Councilman at Large Don Allard is here. I'm sorry, he's not here. Or maybe he is. Oh, sorry. Councilman Bob Dyer. Councilman Jerry Marks. And Councilman John Marriott. And these folks are very supportive of the businesses of Arvada. And we could not do the work we do in the Arvada Economic Development Association without their support. So it's not just mentioning them as officials attending our ceremony, but thanking them for our support for the businesses. Next, we have, I'd like to invite the Arvada Economic Development Association Board and Retention Committee members. If you're in the audience, please stand. I'm not going to be able to name you all by name because it's quite a bit, but these are the folks that, these are business leaders in the community who are here to represent your interests as businesses in Arvada. And they work in many different ways. They work alongside the City Council. They work hard with state, local, and national organizations, collaborate on various high-profile projects, and it's all about creating a strong business environment. So I'd like to thank you all for your tireless efforts to support our community. We are a well-run city, and because we're run so well fiscally by our city manager, Mark Devon, and his staff, I know Lori is here, and I've seen Bill is here as well. And that whole combination of a well-run city, a supportive city council, and an active Arvada Economic Development Association is what's really enabling us to make this work. There are 4 individuals who are our formal Arvada Economic Development staff, and I'd like to introduce them as well. So Ryan Stachelski, Daniel Riley, Melissa Marmont, and Allison Tremblay. These 4, these are the heart and soul of economic development. They live and breathe it every day, and we haven't been able to achieve what we've done without them. And part of what they do is to be very active in promoting at local, state, and national levels what we do. And the whole social media piece has been phenomenal. And we've been recognized as leaders in promoting through social media the good work that's being done in Arvada. So you're going to see a number of videos featured today. And those videos will all be on the Arvada Economic Development Association YouTube channel. And Even this event is on Twitter, right, with the hashtag Invest in Arvada Awards. So you can follow that, and your family members can follow that. So, and with that, now on to the morning program. That's a signal that breakfast is served. So I'd like to introduce you to our MC for this morning. And when I started to get involved with economic development, there were a few people who became my mentors, the ones that I said, wow, they do this well, and I'd like to do it as well as they do. And one of the best, and he's always in demand, is Hereford Percy. So former AEDA board president, current retention committee member, please help me welcome Hereford Percy.
Thank you, Paul. And actually, it's because I retired a number of years ago and my price is right. I do this for free, and they know they can always get me. But it is a pleasure for me to do this every year. 21 years, I was thinking about that we have done this awards breakfast. That, I believe, Mayor Williams, I think that is maybe 4 mayors that we've had, at least 3, possibly 4 chiefs of police. That's at least 15 of these breakfasts that I have emceed that I have not been able to eat breakfast. So, but it is always fun, and I think it's a tribute when you think that this is our 21st one of these breakfasts, and you would think that we would have run out of award nominees and businesses to recognize, but I think that's the tribute, that not only have we been able as a community to bring in new businesses, but we also have been able to retain so many of our valuable businesses that have been here for so many years. So give yourselves all a big hand, because I think we all can thank ourselves for that. A couple of quick logistics for you. At your tables are cards to complete if you would like someone from AEDA to visit your business. And believe me, I think if you haven't had that happen, you will be surprised at what information you get and assistance on so many issues that you will get. So just fill out the card, leave it at your table, and the staff will collect them later. And again, Paul mentioned this, if you want to join the conversation on Twitter, the hashtag is #InvestInArvadaAwards. And now it's my true pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for this morning, Arvada Police Chief Don Wick. I'm extremely honored to have this opportunity to introduce such an important figure and such an integral part of the fabric of our community here in Arvada. Chief Wick has been the Chief of Police for the City of Arvada for 8 years and brings 34 years of law enforcement experience to the community of Arvada. Prior to his position as Chief of Police, Chief Wick served in various positions, and I have to read all of these, ranging from police officer, sergeant, commander, deputy chief with the City of Arvada, starting in 1985. While serving in those positions, Chief Wick worked in the police operations, investigations, emergency management, internal affairs, administration, trash collection, and he was the department party planner, I believe. Just made up the last 2. He's also worked as a police officer with the police department in Laramie, Wyoming, starting in 1981. He is a member of this community, and this will be indicated by these. Chief Wick serves currently as a board member of the Jeffco Schools Foundation. In July of this year, Chief Wick was appointed by the governor to serve as a commissioner on the Limited Stakes Gaming Commission. He previously served as a board member on the Colorado Association of Chiefs of Police and was that association's president from 2010 to 2011. Chief Wick has also served as a board member for organizations such as the Center for Public Safety, Northwestern University, the Ralston House, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and the Arvada Jefferson Kiwanis Club. He was the executive director of the Arvada Child Advocacy Center. He holds a Master of Business Administration from the University of Denver and a Master's of Public Administration from the University of Denver. Please welcome to the stage our neighbor, our friend, our Chief of Police, Chief Don Wick.
Well, Hereford, thank you very much. You know, it's really an honor for me to be here this morning. I never thought that I would be introduced by Hereford. I always thought that I would have the honor of, at some point, being able to introduce him. He's a wonderful man, as you guys all know. And it's really a pleasure for me to be here, to be asked to speak about shaping the future. When I was asked by the Arvada Economic Development staff a few months ago to do this, I thought, wow, shaping the future. How do you really ever build something around shaping the future, which is such a big topic? But after working at it for a few months, you're going to be the recipients of what I came up with this morning. So I have 3 things that I really want to talk about this morning. Number 1, I want to talk about the police role in economic development and shaping our future. Number 2, I want to talk about what I think our most important investment is for us to make right now. And number 3, I want to leave everyone with a challenge. So first, I want to talk about the police role in economic development. Our role in this community, as everybody knows, is really about fighting crime, taking care of reducing crime, building partnerships, addressing fear of crime issues, having great relationships with organizations like our faith-based community, our neighborhood organizations, our schools, and most importantly, our businesses. Across the country, people are clamoring for different kinds of relationships with their community. You guys have all seen and heard in the news about police departments who have lost touch and contact with their community. They no longer represent what their communities are really all about. And the problems and the strife that we've seen has caused so many problems. And the issue is that now that this is all the talk, a lot of police leaders are just now coming to the table, starting to talk about what should we be doing now. And the problem with that is that if you're just now talking about that today, you're 10 years too late. You can't be having this conversation today. You should have been having this conversation years ago. And the advantage that we all have here, I think, in the city of Arvada is that the Arvada Police Department has really been a leader in policing for many years. And we have been working at developing and establishing relationships for all of that time. We've tried to be representative of our community. We try to understand the problems that are going on here and address those in ways that work with the people who are most important in our community. Community policing cannot be a buzzword. It can't be theory. It can't be academic. It really has to be about a strategy that fits your community. Several years ago, we started working on a strategy that would take this police department farther than we have come to date. And that strategy, most visibly, are our community stations that were built and that we occupied here a few months ago. We call this sector-based policing. And our strategy is that we intend to embed our police officers in naturally occurring geographic areas and neighborhoods. So for example, we have a station in the northeast part of the city at 81st and Vance. Our neighbors, the Arvada Fire Department, are really good to us, and we're embedded in that neighborhood there. We also have another station at 65th and Kendrick, and our Sundyne neighbors, I think they're here today. We really appreciate them being our neighbors out there. And our main station just down the street here is to the south of us at 58th and Ralston Road. And the purpose behind what we're doing is we're embedding our police officers into these locations, and they work from there. So they're committed to, they're dedicated to the areas that they work. They take responsibility for their area. They know the crime that's occurring there. They know the neighborhoods. They know the people. They develop relationships with those people that are really most important in those communities. The ability for a police department to really be able to perform their duties is dependent upon the public acceptance of what we do, that you believe and believe that the actions that we are engaged in are justified, that our behavior is appropriate, and the only way that we can secure support from our community is if we do these things right. And that's exactly what we're striving to do. So how do we really go about accomplishing this? How many of you this summer happened to see the Cops Love Lemonade stands? Did he? Yeah, great. There's a few people that had the opportunity to see that. I want to talk about this a little bit because if we can start here with our young children and the young people in our community, I believe that we have the greatest opportunity to continue to build those relationships throughout our lifetime. By creating these great interactions with these young people, they get to see police officers in a different kind of role. They get to see that they're supporting them in their young entrepreneurial roles, and they really have the opportunity to talk to these kids at a different level, at a different place, in a different kind of way. Let me tell you what was going on this summer at these lemonade stands. We had children in our community who were raising money for cancer. They were raising money for school trips. They were raising money for other good causes. We rarely stopped by a lemonade stand where the kids were talking about, I'm just making money for myself. And I think that that is an absolutely wonderful thing to look forward to, that these young people who are growing up, who are going to be taking our positions in the future, are actually interested in something greater than themselves. And I want to give you an example of that here. Up on the slide, you'll see those 4 young ladies. They're holding a backpack. Another one has a package there. What was interesting about these young ladies is that they decided that their goal with their lemonade stand was going to be to raise money to buy goods that our homeless folks needed so that they could exist day to day. And so they went out and bought this stuff and packaged it up so that they could give it away, and it contained things like a toothbrush. It contained things like a water bottle. But they had some money left over. And they learned that at the city of Arvada, our city employees were gathering funds together to provide backpacks to kids who didn't have enough money to be able to buy their own. And they came down to City Hall, to the police department. We had stopped by their lemonade stand, and they gave us those backpacks. And they talked to us about what they were doing with the homeless packets that they had in place. So here's the thing, is that if we have the opportunity to work with our young people and engage with them in that way, we're actually making a contribution that's really important. Now, I want to talk about for a second about how the police department really adds value. Now, before I show you this next slide, when I decided to get into policing, like many of us, I went to my counselor and I said, what job requires no math? The counselor thought a little bit, and well, engineering was out, and all these other great jobs. And she goes, maybe being a police officer. So I want you all to have a great deal of confidence that I'm now in charge of the $30 million budget for the police department. But I do have to deal with math a little bit. And this is our value-added equation that I want to share with you. What this equation is really all about, if you look at the top of the sum sign, is it's the infinite amount of time. And below that, the RE stands for the economic return. Because if we are doing our jobs right by our strategy of sector-based policing, and we're reducing crime, and we're stopping burglaries and car break-ins and thefts from occurring, how could we keep that money where it belongs so we're not paying out insurance claims? How could we redistribute those funds in a different way? So it's the sum of, over time, if we're doing a good job of economic recovery, times the engagement with our community, we add value. Because if we're not adding value as a police department, this is not a flatline thing. We become subtractive. And the only way that we're going to be valuable to this community is if we're adding value. We are a consumer of a lot of financial resources. We're a consumer of a lot of natural resources just by the nature of our work. And if we're not able to add value, then we're not contributing to this community. Now, how many of you knew that we had a stormtrooper problem here in Arvada? Part of our goal is to reduce crime. And one of the things that I think is really important about economic development is if you read some of the studies about why businesses want to locate in communities, the number one thing that shows up over and over again is a low crime rate. People want to locate their businesses in a place where their employees can feel safe, where they can live and have a successful life and raise their families and be a part of the community. That's our job. How many police departments are connecting in a way where they understand that part of their role is to be engaged in economic development? Ryan is our economic development director. Hazel before Ryan. I have worked with both of those for years, both of those folks for years, talking about where are you looking at developing the economy in Arvada? What are the problems you're experiencing? What role is it that we can play in that? And when I talk to my police officers about, look, we're having this problem at this location, and we discuss how if they are doing their jobs well, that adds value to the community. And they're not just out there thinking that they're doing what they're doing. They actually see that they're doing something that's making a positive contribution to our community. So by doing these things, we're able to help create a safe and productive community for the city of Arvada. Now, if you haven't picked up on this, I think that our most important investment right now are our children. I also believe that another important investment in our community happens to be children and people who have special needs or who in other ways need our protection. I'm focusing on these folks today, the ones who are in need, the ones who are economically disadvantaged, because I think that it's an area that we miss. I want to talk about the Arvada Food Bank and the backpack program. A few years ago, myself, John Greer, our fire chief, and Mike Donner, who used to own Pridemark Paramedic, he now owns Apex Ambulance, still here in Arvada. We heard a presentation at the Arvada Jefferson Kiwanis Club one morning, and it was about the backpack program and how they were feeding the future, feeding these kids that don't have access to food in our elementary schools. And after this meeting was over, Mike and John and I got together and said, you know what? We run large, successful organizations. There's got to be a way that we can give back. We decided that we were going to set up a strategy to where our employees, through paycheck donation, could give money to the Arvada Food Bank so that they could provide the food that our kids need at school. And we had decided that we were going to adopt Lawrence Elementary, and to today's date, that's still where the majority of our effort is. Now, I want to share with you a little bit about what packing these packs are like. In fact, this morning while we're here at the breakfast, there are a number of backpack situations going on. The volunteers that do this work make Henry Ford's assembly line look like child's play. These folks who volunteer to do this line up the boxes of food and the sacks where they pack the food, and all of these volunteers get together, and they can do 100 of these sacks in about 20 minutes. But here's the thing that's really important about this, is that they pack these up, they go into a tub, and the people that deliver these tubs to those classrooms, when you walk in that classroom, you are the most important person in that child's life, because they know what is in those tubs. Food for the weekend. That's pretty sad. That's happening right here in our community. Some of our schools have up to an 87% free and reduced lunch problem. That's what we're dealing with here. So the thing that I want to drive home is that our young people have the greatest opportunity here. And if we can take on things like supporting their entrepreneurial capabilities, or doing things like supporting their food in schools, they can become productive people by learning in school. They can learn math like I did and apparently do very well. And they can become productive employees for you. And if they're doing that, I'm not having to deal with them. And that seems to me like it's a great investment. Some of our officers are also involved in the Special Olympics community. And I want to talk for a little bit about our special needs community, because I think that they're often overlooked. They're kind of our invisible employees. Every year, the Arvada Police Department, in conjunction with our neighboring agencies, we do the law enforcement torch run. Typically, we run down Wadsworth from 88th Avenue to Colfax, make a left-hand turn, go to the Capitol, and there's a celebration with the Special Olympians who had competed that year. This year, they changed the route a little bit. It was done a little bit differently. So the Arvada PD, with our surrounding neighbors, decided we were going to run a half marathon from Highway 72 and 93 to City Hall. In years past, people have been driving by, we're escorted by police officers all the way down. In years past, people would drive by, honk and wave and support and give us all of that. This year, it was markedly different. I think a lot of it has to do with the sentiment going on across the country. But there was one thing that happened when we were doing this run. We were coming down 86 Parkway in 5 parks there, and we ran past Jack's. Now, how many of you have been to Jack's in 5 parks? If you've been there, you know that they employ people who are challenged. As the group is running toward Jack's, all of the employees and the customers and the owners are outside, cheering on this group of people who are doing this. And the lack of support from everywhere else was all made up by the fact that those people came out to support the torch run for Special Olympics. A number of our officers also engaged in the polar plunge up in Boulder County Reservoir, like in January. If you ever want to volunteer, let me know. It's cold, but it's a lot of fun, and they raise a lot of money for Special Olympics. My police officer, who's on the left in the white cape, he also put together a choir concert this spring where he brought together all of the high school choirs, and they performed. It was outstanding. I wish that we could have filled Arvada's auditorium. And all of that money was raised and has gone to Special Olympics. So how can we continue to be involved in developing our young entrepreneurs? Because this is where I really think the future is. How can we be involved with helping them understand that they are our future and that they can be our future business leaders and employees? Because this is where I believe our greatest investment is. So now I want to leave you with a challenge. Here's the challenge, is let's go out and do something. All of you sitting in this room today are smart business people. You've taken risk, you've taken challenge, you have invested in capital, you know how to do this, you know how to run and operate something. And what if we took on the wicked problems that exist in the city of Arvada, like making sure that our homeless folks have a solution? And I'm not talking about the addicted male that you see laying on the sidewalk somewhere. I'm talking about homeless families. Here in Jefferson County, the way the school district talks about the homeless is those who are in homeless, like actually living on the street, transitional housing, or living in some other place other than their own home. Right now in Arvada, we have over 400 homeless families. Half of those are just south of us here. These are not parents who are not working. A lot of them do have jobs, but they can't make a livable wage. They struggle with that. So a lot of the students, a lot of the kids are out trying to work too. I was asked earlier this year if I would help at Warren Tech West, that's located out at Arvada West High School. By the way, if you guys have never been out there and you really want to see what the future holds for our children, you should go out to Arvada West at Warren Tech and see what they're doing out there. But I was asked to go out there and participate in mock interviews for the kids that were preparing for jobs. So I went into this one interview, and this young woman comes in. She's very well dressed, very well prepared. She's very well spoken, articulate. She had dreams of what she wanted to do for the future. She wanted to be a cardiac surgeon. And she was telling me about this and talking about the job, and I was like, wow, this is really awesome. And after we got done, I asked her, I said, so tell me a little bit about yourself. And she goes, well, I live here in Arvada. And she kind of hangs her head, and she said, I'm homeless. I survive because Warren Tech helps me survive. My teachers support me, my colleague friends support me, and I'm able to do that because I've got people here at school that help me survive. She was living with a friend, and the rest of her family was distributed throughout Wee Ridge in Arvada. Her siblings were having to work to try to help to support the family. These are the kinds of homeless issues that I'm suggesting that we try to deal with. So here's a couple of other ideas. What about if we were to take on our food supply? So here's a picture of a community garden. Now, we have a number of community gardens in the city of Arvada, and the beauty of community gardens is that people come together, they get to know their neighbors, they don't fear each other, they communicate, they problem solve, they figure out why somebody else's tomatoes aren't growing and mine are, or whatever the issues are. And our kids have the opportunity to plant seeds and get their hands dirty, and they figure out how to solve problems, and at the end of this, they get sustainable food that's actually good for them, that they can eat and that they can survive. We also teach them a lot about problem solving and figuring things out and creativity, like this guy in New York City who has a community garden in the bed of his truck. Because where else are you going to do that in New York City? But if we're able to address the food challenges that our kids and our families have here, imagine what we could accomplish if our kids are learning instead of worrying about where their next meal is going to come from. One thing I would tell you about the backpack program is that while we pack those packs and we give those kids food, it's supposed to be enough food to put a child through for the weekend. The reality is, what we know is that those children who are receiving those backpacks, they're actually feeding the rest of their family as well. So what's designed for one child for a weekend actually tries to serve a family. So I want to talk a little bit about, this is an urban farm in Milwaukee that's a concept right now. The city council in Milwaukee recently approved this. This is a 5-story urban garden that will have an education center that they can teach not only children but families about sustainable food sources. And they will have 5 levels of growing, and people will be able to come in and plant and learn and cultivate and harvest and have sustainable food sources. And this is in a depressed area of Milwaukee that an organization called Growing Power is trying to work at not only changing sustainable food in their community, but also working on redeveloping a portion of their community. What if we all got together and created some sort of a business that provided the goods or services that our community needed, but we were able to create something that provided sustainable living for people, or gave our challenge community a job so that they could feel like they were a part of our community and a part of their life? Now, these are huge challenges, I know, but they exist in our community here. Our kids out here want to be firemen, police officers, lawyers. They want to run their own businesses. They want to be like we all are in this room. They have dreams. So what can we do to help shape the future? By looking at these problems. You guys know each other in here. You know various groups. How can we get together and try to talk about how we could take on these problems? I know that when you start working at dealing with wicked problems like this, that they're difficult to take on. It's easy for me to stand up here and talk about them and to point out these issues, but it's a whole nother thing to make the decision that you're going to engage. Because when you do that, it's a lot of hard work. There's people out there who will criticize. There's always somebody out there who will say, you should have done this instead of that, or you should have done it this way instead of that. And I can tell you from my own experience, having engaged in difficult social capital type of projects, all the way through managing significant change in the organization, there's always somebody out there who's going to be challenging. One of the things that I look at when I'm faced with a difficult challenge was a speech that was delivered by President Roosevelt on April 23rd, 1910 in Paris, France. He said, "It's not the critic who counts. It is not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with dust and sweat and blood, who knows that there is no achievement without effort, who comes up short again and again. But he is the doer of deeds. He is the one who knows the enthusiasms and the great devotions and spends his life in a worthy cause. because at his best, he knows that if he is successful, he will see high achievement. And if he's not successful on his worst day, at least he dared greatly. And his place will never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Thank you all for having me here this morning. I wish you the best.
Thank you, Don. It's interesting. When I was talking with Chief Wick just before he started, I said I've written down some adjectives to describe your presentation, even though I haven't heard it yet, and it's up to you to determine which one of those words I will use. I'm happy to say I'm going to use all of them. Don, it was enlightening, it was eye-opening, it was inspiring, but most importantly, it was powerful. And I do have to say on a personal note, it's just one more reason when I hear our Chief of Police speak that it makes me proud to say I live in Arvada. So Don, thank you so much. I would now like to invite our mayor, but before I invite him up, I have to tell a quick story about him. We were at a community event not long ago, and I was standing in the back, and I was standing by a father with a young son, and the mayor was giving his usual powerful, animated talk and doing a wonderful job, and I heard the little boy look up his dad, and he said, "Dad, when I grow up, I want to be like Mayor Williams." And the father thought for a second. He said, "Son, you can't have it both ways." I knew it. We can explain that to you in just a little while, Mark. He is a good friend, and once again, a word that has been used quite often, a good neighbor, too. Please welcome our Honorable Mayor, Mark Williams.
I always worry when Hereford starts to talk and introduce me because he knows way too many stories. So, you've heard a very serious and a very important presentation. They bring me up for the comic relief. We're going to lighten things up a little bit. I think what Chief Wick talked about is very important, and it is part of the fabric of this community. You as business leaders are also a part of the fabric and what makes this business and community so very special. You know, I've been here since 1979. I've had the great honor of representing many people in this room, either individually or with their businesses in my law practice. You know, I run a law practice, so I understand the importance of business. I understand what's involved in writing a paycheck, paying the bills, making sure that your employees are well taken care of. So I think it's great that we have a city council and that we have a group of people who sort of help guide the policy side of this city, who understand what it means to own businesses and to run businesses. And we've got a number of us on city council who have those types of roles in our other lives, in our other work responsibilities beyond being on city council. So, as we look at our role as your city council and in my role as your mayor, we look at partnerships, because we've seen so many effective partnerships in this room and throughout the city of Arvada, where you've got your suppliers, and you've got the companies that need those supplies, and you have the ability to network and work together. You know, sort of the, I'll scratch your back if you'll scratch mine, carried to the nth degree of working together to build up your own businesses, but also to build up this incredible community that we call Arvada. So we have these partnerships that go on amongst the business community. And again, I think because of your city council's understanding of the importance of business, we understand the importance of the partnership between city government and our businesses. And one of those important roles that we like to look at is how do we make it easier to run business in our community. One of the things I love about the Arvada Economic Development Association are the retention calls they do. The work that goes on by our folks, our volunteers. Isn't this just a great volunteer community? Isn't it great how you have business leaders who want to help other businesses? You know, it's not a, dog-eat-dog attitude here in Arvada. It's an attitude of a rising tide raises all boats. And by golly, by us working together to help each other, it's going to help all of us. That's what I love about Arvada, Colorado. So you've got these business leaders who serve on the retention committee. They go out and meet with their fellow business owners. They find out what the problems are. And then they bring them back to City Hall. They either bring them to council, they bring them to staff, and say, well, we got a little issue here. How can we make that better? And our city staff, I think, does a terrific job of working in partnership with the business community to help solve problems and make your lives easier, which makes our lives easier as well. I also love the fact that we have, through the Arvada Economic Development Association, quarterly roundtables with CEOs of larger businesses. I've got to tell you, some of our best businesses are somewhat hidden in our community. They're minding their own business. They're taking care of their needs and their responsibilities, and they're not causing problems. So we don't always hear about them until they come to us or we go to them, and we find out more about their businesses and their successes and their wishes and their aspirations. And it is so rewarding to see those and to have award ceremonies like today where we're able to recognize the business successes that have gone in our community, either short-term or long-term, in such an effective way. So those partnerships that we have on so many levels and how we work together, that synergy that we have together is so dynamic and so wonderful that's why Arvada is such a special, special place. Now let me talk briefly about some of the looking forward as we look towards our future. You know, a lot of what is happening now is the result of a lot of hard work by city councils that came before, by many of you in your work and assisting us on these projects that we are now coming to fruition on them. One of the biggest is going to be the Gold Line. That is the commuter rail line that will be here in the fall of 2016. You see the construction, and I know it's been a pain in the you-know-what in terms of some of the road closures and everything. You've got to break a few eggs to make those omelets, and that's what's been going on. But when that thing comes to fruition in the fall of 2016, it will be a sea change for our community in terms of the ability for our residents to be able to go into the Denver core as they wish, or go around on the other transit lines to get to where they want to go, sporting events or whatever. But it's also going to be an opportunity for those in the convention arena who want to come out and see an authentic city, come out and see what's going on in Arvada, Colorado. When that station opens in Old Town and folks get off the train and can come enjoy what we're now enjoying in that incredible Old Town area that was so sleepy and so dormant for so many years. The partnership and the work that's gone on to make that vibrant today, and how it's going to move even more forward with the coming of the Gold Line, I think is absolutely incredible. And we're finally going to get a quality hotel in the city of Arvada. I can't tell you how many years I've been beaten up by people saying, we're over 100,000 people. Where's a hotel? We're going to get one. The Hilton Garden Inn will be coming in to the Old Town area. Council has taken action to move that forward. It is going to be a necessary and needed asset for our community. We're also doing, I think, a much better job of bringing medical facilities to our community, and there's still more being planned and looked at. So that's another criticism that we frequently have had over the years is, why don't we have better medical facilities in a city of now 110,000 people? They are coming, and it's taken a lot of work, it's taken a lot of partnerships, but they are coming as well. One of the biggest joys, and they're going to be receiving an award today for their community involvement, is Red Rocks Community College. The expansion that's going to happen at that campus is going to be so important for our community and for the entire region in terms of the healthcare sciences education that's going to be there, so that we can get nurses and physicians' assistants in an area that is growing so large and is so crucial, and there's been such a bottleneck. To have that facility coming to our city, I think, is a commentary about how important Arvada is right now and how we've recognized how important it is to work together on that. I'm thrilled that we're going to have a transit hub in Old Town. I'm thrilled that we have the development that's coming to fruition in Ralston Creek. We have a lot of new residences coming online throughout the city, particularly on the west side, and we've planned well for them. We have the water reserves to be able to provide for them. We have the infrastructure. But we're all working together, pulling together in this incredible community that we call Arvada, Colorado. And I thank each and every one of you for your role, for your participation in making this the best doggone place to live in the entire state of Colorado. Thank you. Now I'll invite Hereford and Paul back up to the stage, and we've got some awards to present.
It's always so much fun for me over the years to come up here and knowing that, Mark, I don't know if you remember, but back in 1986, I think, was the first time we first met, and it was at chamber functions. We were both young business people then, and we haven't changed a bit. We're parting our hair a bit higher than we used to. And I'm so glad to hear about the hotel because now I have someplace to go when my wife throws me out for that night on occasion. This event has always been about appreciating what businesses do for, in, and with our community here in Arvada, and you all have done so much. We have business representatives here ranging from home-based businesses to manufacturers, from retail to research and development, from restaurants to service companies, and so many others in between. It's AEDA's hope that you will make new business contacts this morning, as well as reintroducing yourself to old friends. And that's what's so neat. Let me ask just very quickly, how many of you have been award recipients in the past? Please raise your hand. Oh, good, quite a few. But as I mentioned earlier, we have quite a few more businesses that we would like to recognize over the coming years. But now it's time to celebrate and recognize some of our many outstanding Arvada businesses and entrepreneurs. As you may know, the Arvada Economic Development Association solicits nominations for these awards each year. With many great candidates, I can tell you from past experience, there was a lot of thoughtful discussion, and choosing this year's winners was an extremely difficult task. I'd like to give special thanks to my colleagues on the AEDA Retention Committee for volunteering their time to review all of this year's worthy nominations. This year we will be presenting 5 awards, including a newly created award for business collaboration and our coveted Lloyd J. King Entrepreneurial Spirit Award. I do need to mention also that not only will you be getting this lovely hardware, but Congressman Perlmutter has brought Jerry Pfeiffer from his office, has some recognitions from the congressman. Now that may sound like, oh, that's nice, but what's going to happen today, Congressman Perlmutter will read those recognitions into the congressional record, and so it will be forever held there as a permanent record of the 114th Congress. So you'll be able to go online anytime in the future to look and see where your business has been recognized. So let's get into the meat of the matter. What do you say, guys?
Bet.
Our first award is our 2015 Outstanding Small Business of the Year. We are recognizing S&H Products this morning for this award, as this family-owned Arvada manufacturer has an amazing story of success. Let's take a closer look.
The winner of the 2015 award for Outstanding Small Business, S&H Products, recognized for their commitment to capital improvements and employment growth, particularly through their investment in the community and corporate culture.
S&H is a small manufacturer, small business in Arvada, Colorado, and we manufacture a pretty broad line of firefighting equipment, water handling and firefighting equipment. Much of it is sold into the wildland firefighting industry and service.
Our valves and nozzles are used by the firefighters on the front lines of wildland fires. Anytime you see a wildfire happening in the U.S., there is about a 99% chance that they're using products that were made right here in our plant in Arvada.
It feels really good to know that products that we make here goes out to firefighters in the field, and they're doing really important things, saving lives and property.
Our commercial side of business has been growing at about a 15 to 20% rate. We have about 45 employees, which is compared to the 20 employees that we had about a year and a half ago. This is a family-owned and operated business, but it's also a bigger family in that there are probably a half dozen families within the company. Husbands, wives, fathers, sons, brothers. So this is very much a family environment and atmosphere here.
AEDA and the city of Arvada have been extremely supportive of us. I've been just thrilled with the relationship that we have, the support that they give us.
AEDA has been a tremendous partner for us. They've reached out to us continuously over the 13 and a half years that I've owned the business. They have been instrumental in helping us secure a number of critical grants that have helped us in product development and in training and in just generally improving our operations. So it's been a very important piece of our continuation of business and our relationship with the city in general.
To win this award from the city of Arvada was very humbling, and it was a really nice recognition of the work that all of us are putting in here. The company went through some difficult times during the economic downturn, and over the last couple of years we've really seen a whole sort of rebirth. We feel like the phoenix rising from the ashes right now.
As you saw, Steve, Seth, and Josh Larson are the father and sons that own and operate S&H Products. Unfortunately, Steve could not be here, but sons Seth and Josh are, so if they would join us here on stage, please. Get them on.
Hang on, everybody.
I have to explain, you may have wondered about that choice of music. The title of that song is She's on Fire by the group Something Underground, of which Seth and Josh are members. Congratulations, guys. Multi-talented. Next, we're going to hear about our 2015 Outstanding Large Business of the Year, the Arvada Costco, which I lovingly refer to as the $300 store. I don't know how many of you guys are... You go in there not needing or wanting anything, and you always walk out minimum $300 lighter. Let's watch why this Arvada business stands apart from the others.
The winner of the 2015 award for Outstanding Large Business, Costco, recognized for their commitment to capital improvements and employment growth, particularly through their investment in the community and corporate culture.
Costco is an international company of membership warehouses that sells retail goods and services to the public. Well, the company has about 189,000 employees, and we have 250-ish here in Arvada right now. Costco's been here since 2001. It's a 14-year-old building, so we've taken a sizable commitment to improving the building and the facility over the last couple of years. We redesigned the vestibule, got inside storage for shopping carts now so you're not digging them out of the snow in the wintertime. Completely redone our food court, improved the restrooms, updated our pharmacy and hearing aid centers, and as well as equipment, forklifts, pallet jacks, and things like that within the building to help compete and stay competitive in the marketplace. Well, a couple of years ago, we started taking a look at the traffic issues we were having in and out of the site, and we asked the city to take a look at the traffic management plan. So they did a study, and together we came up with a game plan. The city was going to put in the traffic light. We're redesigning the parking lot to accommodate the new entrance, and so that should be helpful to all our members. Arvada is very pro-business, so they've done a very good job with helping us with whatever it is that we need. AEDA has a great staff. They do a great job, and really they've been the liaison for us with the city on just about anything that we need. So they have been very visible and very helpful and very available when we need them. It's a great recognition for our staff and employees. They work hard every single day, and it's a tribute to them that we're receiving this award. And so I'm real thankful for everything they do in the building for us on a daily basis.
Would Dan Williams, representing Costco, please join us on stage? Thank you, Dan, for all that you do and your Costco family do for Arvada. And I do have to be honest, I said $300 store. That's what I tell my wife. Our next award is a brand new award created by AEDA's Nomination and Selection Committee. This award recognizes an amazing partnership between 3 private Arvada businesses that overcame the challenge of finding suitable space for each of their growing companies. The 2015 Business Collaboration Award goes to Industrial Chemicals Corporation, 5280 Armory, and Simply Storage. Let's take a look behind the scenes and see how it all came together.
The winner of the 2015 Business Collaboration Award, 5280 Armory, Industrial Chemicals Corporation, and Simply Storage. This award was created to recognize an amazing partnership between these 3 private Arvada businesses who were able to work creatively together and create opportunities for each to find space, prosper, and expand their businesses in Arvada.
Industrial Chemicals Corporation is a wholesale commodity chemical distributorship. We own a fleet of trucks that we make deliveries to the customers with. We have rail siding, warehouse facilities. We've been in business this year 60 years. Well, one of the things the owner and I always discussed was never being landlocked and never being in a situation where we don't have enough room to grow the business. So recognizing that over the years, we knew that we needed more rail. Our next door neighbor, Tarco, shut their business down. And that put the whole piece they had up for sale, which I think about 7.5 acres. And it sat there for a couple years, and we kept looking over there. And then one day we were on the north side of this facility and looking to the west and said, well, what if we put the tracks right next to each other and just went further west? That was a great idea, but it took getting a small amount of the land for an easement on the Tarco facilities. That's when Ryan Stachelski with Arvada Economic Development introduced us to Peter O'Neill.
I've been working with Ryan since 2011 trying to identify a property in Arvada. He put me in touch with the sellers of the property. It was too big, not quite what I wanted, but then he had me speak with our neighbor, Robert Wilson, who's the president of Industrial Chemical. Robert wanted a small slice of the property. We wanted a little less, and we decided the best approach would be to approach the seller, collaborate on the purchase, and then divide up the property so that we each got what we wanted and needed, and neither of us had to buy too large a piece of property.
2 partners were now in place, but there was still more land for sale than ICC and Simply Storage could use. A 3rd partner would need to be found. Enter 5280 Armory.
I started talking to Matt and Gina and found out that they were indeed looking for a piece of land to build a range and move their retail store to.
Well, I've got to give Robert Wilson all the credit on that part, because I think that he was the one that really saw us being in this location. One thing that we were always missing before was we never had the gun range. And so people could buy a gun from us and buy ammo, but they couldn't shoot the gun as a full experience. Robert just kept coming over and we just kept talking about it. And before too long, at some point, I guess we just believed that we could do our part on the little parcel that was in the center. That is now what 5280 Armory has become, is a gun shop with a gun range.
Matt and Gina next door, they took a building that was very, very poor shape and turned it into a very beautiful showplace for their business. So we're proud to be neighbors of both of them.
Robert got the small sliver of property that he needed to run his second rail line, and all 3 of us, I think, are doing pretty well now.
It's a win-win for everybody. Peter and his brothers had a vision with the storage. Matt and Gina certainly had a vision with what they thought their business should look like. We love the fact that we now have new neighbors and it just looks beautiful down this block.
It's a very unusual collaboration, and it's been really fun. In the process, got to go know some great neighbors, work closely with Matt and Gina. Hopefully we share some customers, and Robert's business is hopefully booming now too because he can bring additional product on site.
The beauty of the whole project was that we did most of this until, you have to do the due diligence at the very end and have a contract. But almost all of this was done on a handshake.
If you would join me in welcoming to the stage Robert L. Wilson of Industrial Chemicals Corporation, Gina Boone of 5280 Armory, and Peter O'Neill of Simply Storage. Please join us.
Where are they going to come?
Let you come through and I'll get out of the way. I'll get out of your way here.
I see. I've got Robert's here. As always. Very good. Careful with those.
I saw this presentation for the first time last week, and I could not think of a more perfect example of economic development and why Arvada has been recognized nationally for their economic development efforts, because it does the two most important things for us: retaining our existing businesses and bringing in new businesses. So to everyone involved in this, all of the businesses and to the city also, congratulations. The next award is our 2015 Community Partnership Award, which goes to Red Rocks Community College. The college's Arvada campus is going through some very big changes. Let's watch the video to learn more about how Red Rocks is making a very large impact on Arvada.
The winner of the 2015 Community Partnership Award, Red Rocks Community College, recognized for their capital investment in the new health programs facility at the Arvada campus.
The Arvada campus of Red Rocks is a focus on health sciences as well as science careers. We are building a new facility here at Arvada, and you're going to see a building rise up out of the ground. We have in this building what we're calling interprofessional education. What that means is we can bring teams together, a physician assistant, a medical assistant, a medical office technologist, a rad tech. They will be assigned teams, and all the simulation will be around teamwork. So it's the real world. It's not just, let's change it once you get into a work environment. The work environment will be brought to them. In the opening today where we were putting shovels down on the ground, there were hundreds of people here from Arvada, from all different parts of Arvada. And I thought, wow, you don't see that very often. And how lucky we are to be a college that is Arvada and Arvada's college. You never can come as far as we have come in terms of building a campus without partnerships. I can't thank AEDA enough for what they have done for us. I mean, first of all, they allow a Red Rocks person to sit on the board. Oh my gosh. That's an acknowledgement that they believe in us. And I think that's a beginning of a wonderful future. Receiving this award from AEDA, and because of what it says community, and then it says partnership. And community is our middle name at Red Rocks Community College. And to be acknowledged for doing a job that shows the community, that also shows the partnership, I couldn't ask for a better, honor. And I thank them so very, very much. It makes me proud to be associated with AEDA as well as with the college.
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Michelle Haney, President of Red Rocks Community College. Michelle, thanks for joining us. And it was very nice to hear the chief and the mayor recognize the educational importance that we have here in Arvada, and none more important than our higher education facility or organization. Red Rocks Community College. We very much enjoy having you here. Thank you, Michelle. The Lloyd J. King Entrepreneurial Spirit Award is the highest honor that Arvada bestows on an individual or individuals each year. You may recall that Mr. King started King Soopers in Old Town Arvada in 1947. AEDA established this award in 1998 in his honor to annually recognize someone whose traits and character typify an exemplary entrepreneur. It is my pleasure to announce that this year's winner is Dennis Meyer of Das Meyer Fine Pastry Chalet. As part of this year's award selection committee, it was obvious to me that there was no one more deserving of this recognition than Dennis Meyer. He is not only known and loved by the Arvada community, but he is famous across the metro area in Colorado and the nation for his amazing cakes and pastries, and is probably responsible for more weight gaining than anyone else in the state. Das Meyer is a family-owned and operated bakery that has been in business since 1982 and currently employs 15 people in West Arvada. Owner Dennis Meyer has been baking since 1965 and is renowned as a certified executive pastry chef, master baker, and is also a member of the American Academy of Chefs. Dennis was named Chef of the Year in 1987 by this organization, and if I understand this correctly, Dennis, you're the only bakery chef to have been recognized by this organization in that manner. He has won numerous gold medals in culinary competitions, including People's Choice Awards and Best in Show. Most notably, in 2006, Dennis was inducted into the Colorado Chefs Hall of Fame. Das Meyer has also made cakes for some famous celebrities and bands over the years, including Richard Gere, John Elway, Katy Perry, Kenny Chesney, the Zac Brown Band, Lady Antebellum. That's just to name a few. Let's take a moment to learn more about this year's Lloyd J. King Entrepreneurial Spirit Award winner, Dennis Meyer.
The winner of the 2015 Entrepreneurial Spirit Award, Dennis Meyer, owner of Das Meyer Fine Pastry Chalet. Dennis typifies an exemplary entrepreneur. His creativity, kind-heartedness, generosity, and entrepreneurial spirit have enriched the Arvada community for more than 30 years.
When I first started in the bakery business, when I was a cleanup kid when I first started, a German guy said to me, he says, hey, he says, I'll let you know something. He says, you can have anything in the bakery you want to eat. But the first time you take an item and don't really appreciate it, it'll be your last time.
The backbone to keep everything strong here at the bakery is my dad, Dennis. He's been doing this stuff in the bakery industry for 50 years. And so that's the backbone. He's the guy, he's the go-to. Hey, can you do this? Can you do something European? Can you do this with a German pierogies? Can you do that? There's so many things I don't know yet, but he knows. He is the backbone, he is the knowledge, he is the baker, he is the guy.
Dennis is the epitome of an entrepreneur. He started as a small business. He's grown this business into something that's regionally renowned.
Das Meyer Bakery was started 33 years ago. We've got that nice specialty bakery that kind of accommodates everyone in our whole general area.
Das Meyer started when I was 4 years old. It's really cool to watch my dad because he comes up with new ideas and different ideas all the time.
Dennis is my father-in-law. He makes it special because the work environment is always loving, kind of carefree. He's really good at what he does. It's just really special to be able to work with him every day.
Local people that come and enjoy our coffee and Danish and stuff like that in the morning. But our main specialty niche is always, our trademark is our wedding cakes, birthday cakes, anniversary cakes, baby shower cakes, anything specialty, that's how we accommodate. My favorite part is decorating the cakes, people are happy, everything gets expedited. It's a stressful job, but it's happy at the same time. So when people are happy and brides come back and you don't even know them, they give you the biggest hug in the world, you know you did a good job.
He's turned this into the wedding cake place in the city of Denver. I mean, if you want the best wedding cake, you go to Das Meyer. He's just found a way to make himself into the best at what he does. And I think that's what entrepreneurial spirit means, is to have that willingness to put in to get that done.
To win this award for my dad was amazing. He couldn't believe it. He was like, what? What was that you said? Because it was something that he would have never thought that he would be eligible for. It's just such a humbling experience for him to work so hard in his entire life, making other people happy and making dreams come true for everybody else, and be able to be recognized for that. And that really, really has touched him, that he has been recognized for this, for doing so much hard work and everything. So he's very, very excited about it, very happy about it, but also kind of taken back.
First kind of mentioned to my dad, I was like, man, this is the biggest award that you can get for Arvada, Dad. This is a sweet little thing here, man. You might want to, really breathe it in and take it in the moment, because you're one of a pretty distinguished group of people that get to enjoy this. So I'm very proud of him for that. He was actually just tickled as hell and, used a few profanity words, but it was all good.
It's a very prestigious honor. I appreciate that. I really do. Never, ever dreamt that I'd ever be the guy, to be honest with you. This is the guy making bread.
If you would help me in welcoming to the stage our Lloyd J. King Entrepreneurial Spirit Award winner, Dennis Meyer. Let's see if he wants to say a few words. Dennis, would you like to say a few words? Oh, heck yeah, come on. We don't do this very often, but we're going to have Dennis say a few words. If you would all be seated, please.
Let's get this. Well, the first thing I just want to say is I don't know if you want the picture first or whatever, but if it wasn't for my family and naturally in Arvada, because like I said, it all starts with the family. And naturally, I wouldn't be around because Arvada is where it starts. And came here a long time ago in Arvada. And naturally, with all the kids, and naturally, it has grown. And I wouldn't go in any other place than Arvada because that's where it's at. And had a moment, like I said, wasn't expecting any of this. And I want to thank everybody. And I'll be around for a while, and I plan to, with all the kids, and especially with the little ones now, that they will plan to stay in Arvada. And actually, that's where it's at. And there's only one place, and that's Arvada. So, and I do want to thank everybody, and it's a nice surprise, and it's well deserving, and I wasn't... down the road it's deserving, but I'm not thinking that I should get it, but since it's here, I'll take it. But,
How would you like to have him as your grandfather? Can you imagine all of the pastries that must come? Dennis, and I do have to tell you that this award is a product of your longtime creativity, kind-heartedness, generosity, and truly entrepreneurial spirit that you have shown us here in Arvada. So once again, congratulations on this award. And once again, it has been my honor to MC this. I get asked, and I don't know why, but I think it's because I'm just one of many that has a true love for Arvada. I remember when I moved here from Longmont back in 1986, I was worried about being part of the big metropolitan Denver area, what it was going to be like, but it's very much a small town community with a much larger perspective. And I think our Economic Development Association is exemplary in that manner. And I am very proud, no matter where I go, to say that I'm from Arvada, Colorado. One last time, Paul Heller, would you like to take over the microphone? Thank you, folks.
Hereford, thank you for leading us through this program this morning. It's just a pleasure to watch you do that. Always outstanding. You make it fun. And, you know, we're just blessed to have a leader like Mayor Williams, who's just aside from a phenomenal speaker, great friend, visionary. And then Chief Wick, that was to have these kind of leaders in the community, it's why I'm happy to live and have our business in Arvada. And I'd like to, everybody here who, if you're a business owner or if you're an employee of a business, please stand up. We'd like to say thank you for being in Arvada. Anybody not standing up? Great. At your table is a token of our appreciation to help you shape Arvada's future. You may have seen this, but if you look on the back, it says Made in USA, and if you look even closer, it's made by an Arvada company called the Dough Source. It's pretty neat. There's please, person at your table who has the longest business in Arvada, who's been here, the business the longest, please take the centerpiece. And if no one at your table owns a business, then whoever has worked in Arvada the longest may take it, okay? Please remember to check out the many products and services available to you from the Arvada Economic Development Association. We are here to serve you. It's a privilege to work with all of you as we continue to build a great community together. We hope you enjoyed the morning and hope you have a great day. And lastly, I'd like to ask all of the award winners to briefly stay for pictures. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Have a great day.